changing fractions to decimals. Fractions and decimals are actually the same thing. It's just that they look different. So if you want to change a fraction to a decimal, there could be two ways of doing this. For example, let's say we wanted to make 3/5, change it to a decimal fraction. We can do this in two ways because 3/5 has the denominator of 5. And those fifths can be made equal to tenths. So we're going to do it that way first. Now remember, to make equal fractions, whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top, which will be multiplying. For 5 to become equal to 10, you need to multiply it by 2. Therefore, you have to do the same to the top, to the numerator. That makes it 6. So 3/5 has the same value as 6/10. And 6/10 is easy to write as a decimal because the decimal place after the point is tenths. So we then realise that is equal to 0.6. So 3/5 is the same as 0.6. We were able to do that because 5 is a factor of 10, so it's easy to change. However, there's one other way that which will always work for changing a fraction to a decimal. Because it's very important you realise that 3/5 is also a different way of writing 3 divided by 5. This line here, separating the numerator and denominator, this line also means divide. And it is always the numerator divided by the denominator. So the top number divided by the bottom, 3 divided by 5. And if we do this division, we can change 3/5 into a decimal fraction by doing the division. So if it's 3 divided by 5, then the 5 goes here, and this is where children get confused. The 5 goes there, and it's the 3 you're dividing. And it's going to be a decimal, so we have to put a decimal point, because 3 is the same as 3.0. You can have as many zeros as you want here. It doesn't change the value of the 3. But it does help us to divide where there are remainders. So if you tend to find this difficult and forget which way round these should be, then I always say the top number falls down in front of the bottom. It falls down to the right. So the 5 goes there and the 3 goes there. Right now we have to divide. Well, how many groups of 5 can we get from 3? We can't get any, so we write 0. But we still have that 3, which is our remainder. We give it to the next house because 3 units is the same as 30/10. We give it to the next house, it becomes 30. And now we divide. 30 divided by 5 is 6. There we have it. So these are two methods of doing it. 3/5 is equal to 0.6 that way. 3/5 is equal to 0.6 by dividing. Let's go for another example. Okay, what about changing 3/4 to a decimal? Well, again, we're lucky with 3/4 because 4 is a factor not of 10, but it's a factor of 100. So we can make our fraction equivalent or equal to hundredths. Now, to make an equal fraction, whatever you do to the bottom number, and I'm talking about multiplying or dividing, you have to do to the top. For 4 to become 100, you would need to multiply it by 25. And that's what we do with the top too. So 3 times 25 is 75. So 3/4 is equal to 75 hundredths. And we know by our place value that 75 hundredths is written after the point like that. Here's your hundredths, here's your tenths, here's your units, and there's your decimal point. So we can change 3/4 to a decimal by making it equal to hundredths. But as I said before, a method that works for all fractions is to divide 3/4 is the same as 3 divided by 4. This line here means divide by. And if you forget which way it is, I say the top number falls down to the right. So you've got the 4 here as a divisor and the 3 here. And we have to make it a decimal. And we can put as many zeros as we want here. I think we're going to have to need another one. And then we divide. See how many groups of 4 can you get in 3? You can't. So 0. But you have 3 left over, so that becomes 30. 3 units is the same as 30 tenths. Now we divide. How many groups of 4 can we get in 30? We can get 7 groups. Remainder 2. The remainder goes to the next, because 2 tenths is the same as 20 hundredths. And now we can divide. How many groups of 4 can we get in 20? And the answer is 5. There we have it again. 3/4 is the same as 0.75. 3/4 is the same as 0.75, or 75 hundredths. Okay, what about a fraction whose denominator is not a factor of 10, 100 or 1000? We'll do that. So for example, what about 2/9? 2/9. 9 is not a factor of 10 or 100 or 1000 or any multiple of 10. So the only way we can change this to a decimal is to divide. And remember, 2, this line here means divide, so it's 2 divided by 9. 2 divided by 9. And when you do that, this falls down to the right of the 9 when you're doing it like this. So it's 2 divided by 9. All right, how many groups of 9 can we get in 2? We can't. But that 2 is chopped up into 20 tenths. How many groups of 9 in 20? 2. Remainder 2. Can you see a pattern? It's going to be 2 again. Remainder 2. And this is going to go on and on and on. It's a recurring decimal, but it still has a value. So 2/9 is equal to 0, and we'll just do it to 3 decimal places, 2, 2, 2, recurring.